Blue hives and bees from Australia make a ton of honey. In fact, 90% of the daily top honey makers are blue hives. And the best part about it, they're not even at their keyboard. However, making all this honey as a blue hive is quite the learning curve. So in this video, I'm going to show you guys how to become the ultimate blue hive. Before we start getting to the real stuff, we need to go over two major things. One, blue hives are insanely cheap. You only really need around 500 billion honey to get started as a blue hive, which may sound like a lot at first, but compared to the other two hive colors, trust me, it's cheaper. And two, you're gonna make all your honey doing something called macroing. As a blue hive, you might make 100 billion honey per hour macroing as a beginner, and you can even make up to 1 trillion honey per hour once you reach the end game of the blue hive. It's very OP, but some of you may be wondering how to macro. So let's go over how to macro. First things first, you're going to go to the website autohotkey.com. Click download 2.0. It may warn you that it's dangerous, but it isn't. Trust me, I use this every day. Once it's downloaded, open it up, then click install. Now you're going to want to click the second link in the description. It should start a download that says naturalmacro.zip. Extract it, open up the extracted folder, and then you're going to click naturalmacro.ahk. However, as you can see, we're going to need to go over some settings, so let's go with the settings. Okay, so obviously we're going to have pine tree as our field of choice, but also make sure that this box here is ticked. For pattern shape, choose elol. These should be default, but if they're not, make it default. You want to be 15 minutes in the field, and also you want to have 100% for your pack percent. When you're starting out, I recommend you choose to walk to hive by walking. However, if you're more late game, choose reset, it's faster. For start location, choose center, and for distance, choose 2. For cut and kill, make sure you have the tickets on, that's just free tickets every hour. And I also like to have glue on as well. For boost, I have blue here, so I could maybe get pine tree sometimes. And as you can see here, I have the 7 slot is always in 10 minutes. That's because I have blue extracts here in this 7 slot, so every 10 minutes, I could probably extract and get way more honey. For quest, I have polar bear on. However, if you need buckabee quests, I recommend turning that on. This is important. The planter tab is important. For presets, obviously choose blue. If you don't have any planters better than pesticide, have these nectar priority settings. If you have the hydroponic planter, choose 90 for your comforting priority. If you have heat treated, put invigorating to 80, and if you have petal, put invigorating to 90. Harvest rate 2 hours. Gather field nectar sipping, have that ticked. Have 3 for your max planters because you want as much nectar as possible. And then I'd leave these allowed fields on as normal. You can disable pineapple if you want, it doesn't really matter. For status, it doesn't really matter. If you want some graphs, you can put in a webhook here. If you don't know how to do that, there's tons of guides on the internet. For settings, make sure that you have the right move speed without haste. Mine is 28, so I have mine set as 28. Make sure your sprinklers are right, and then the rest of this you could probably leave on as default. Hi, editing Schmeesley here. If you have a private server link, put it where it says server link. Okay, bye. Let's move on to something a little bit more interesting. Amulets. Even if you have the perfect blue hive and you know everything there is to know, you won't make any honey unless you have some good amulets. So let's go over them so you aren't completely lost. David from Michigan. The most important amulet by far is the Supreme Star amulet. The most important stat is the passive. You need Pop Star, and if you don't have Pop Star, just re-roll. Now for the other stats, you're gonna want blue pollen, convert rate, crit chance, pollen percent, and last but definitely not least, bar. Starting out, you may want 3, but later down the line, you're gonna want all 5. And even later down the line, if you want to get even more honey, you can get a double passive with all the same stats except maybe Guiding Star or Star Shower as your bonus passive. The rest aren't as important as the SSA, but they are important. So here's a screenshot of every single amulet that you're gonna want. Try and get as close to these stats as possible on your amulets, and you'll be making as much honey as the pros. Okay, so we're going to want 1 gifted basic bee because the gifted high bonus is simply one of the best in the game. Gifted bomber bee is going to give us more bomb pollen, and as blue hives, we're going to be making a lot of our honey from blue bombs, from buoyant bees. So we're trying to get as much bomb pollen and as much crit power and as much critical chance, so that way we can get those big blue bombs. Gifted bumblebee has more capacity, why wouldn't you want this? Gifted cool bee gives more blue pollen, and again, why wouldn't you want this? Gifted looker bee gives that crit power, and as I was saying earlier, this is going to be very helpful for our buoyant bees blue bombs. Gifted starter bee is going to pretty much allow us to get more ability tokens while macroing, very useful bee. Gifted Bumblebee is going to give us more bubble pollen, and we're going to have a couple of tadpoles in the hive who are going to be constantly spawning bubbles. So why not just get as much honey as we can from those bubbles? Gifted Bucklebee is more capacity. Why don't you want this? Gifted Commander Bee is going to give you more crit chance, and more crit chance in the blue hive is always welcome. Gifted Frosty Bee is just very useful for its gifted bonus. I like Gifted Shock Bee because it gives haste and token link, 2 abilities which are pretty useful as a blue hive. We're going to want 1 Gifted Diamond Bee because this gifted hive bonus is beautiful. As a blue hive, we spend a lot of the time just sitting there waiting for our balloons to convert, so this speeds that process up a lot. 4 Gifted Music Bees. His Melody, Focus, and Token Link, all 3 are abilities that you want to constantly have. It's a very good utility bee. I have 1 Gifted Ninja Bee. The Gifted Hive bonus is okay, but I'm mainly here for the haste that it gives. Okay, this is first going to be confusing. If you don't macro with anyone else, you should run 18 Buoyant Bees and 10 Tadpole Bees. However, if you have friends to macro with, run 20 Buoyant Bees and 8 Tadpoles. And oh yeah, I also have a Gifted Fuzzy Bee because I like the bomb power gifted bonus, and I also just like the gifted ability that it has. It's very cool. Lastly, I have Gifted Windy Bee. However, if you have Digital Bee, I recommend running it. I just don't have them because I hate Robo Challenge with a passion. I sure as hell didn't want to buy them. So there you go. There's the Hive comp. Pro Hive comp. Would recommend. 10 out of 10. Except I don't have Digital Bee, so actually 0 out of 10. Throwing Mutations and Beequips together because they're both pretty brief stuff. The mutation setup that you should run is convert amount on your Buoyant Bees, Tadpole Bees, Diamond Bees, Tabby Bees, and Gummy Bees. And every other bee should have ability rate if possible. The only reason my hive isn't set up like that is because I accidentally fed all my bitter berries to 1 Tadpole Bee, so oops. For my Beequip case, my Beequips aren't actually perfect. Preferably, I'd have 1 more elf cap and 3 business tree hats. So if you have those, put them on your bees. But otherwise, I think this is a pretty good setup. If you want to go a step further with your Beequips, I suppose you could give them all soft wax, but it doesn't really do that much. That's really all. If you made this from the video, you obviously liked it, so why not leave a thumbs up? And if you really want to go the extra mile, you can subscribe. Leave your thoughts, opinions, and questions you have in the comments below. I will try my best to answer them. And on screen right now is a tutorial on how to get the Tide Popper, so go ahead, watch it. It's a great video. Thank you guys so much for your time, and have a good day.